Hey, welcome to Better Assholes. I just wanted to get a little bit of a few different things over the weekend, like a few different topics. Let's dig a little deep into something, right? Maybe not too deep. Let's dig shallow. How about we start with that? So, here's what I was thinking. This specific podcast or creator channel or YouTube channel or whatever we're doing here is relatively new. And being relatively new, you experiment with different things. Now, when I say relatively new, keep in mind, this has been a work in progress. I probably mentioned it before. I started doing my own kind of show back in the 90s and progressed through, online shows in different media, shows at, university broadcasting, etc. Small radio stations, stuff like that. So I have a bit of experience. And, recently, as you see, it's almost a norm to do some creative media content creation or whatever, right? So it's almost a norm now. Now, you got to remember, I've actually been doing this when most of your popular YouTube personalities weren't even born yet. I was doing this. So it's kind of sad because I've fallen, I seriously, I never thought this would take off. This whole type of YouTube or podcast or whatever. And part of the reason is because back in the day, you needed money. You couldn't do something like this without having financial backing because you need studio, you need equipment. You weren't able to just record on a phone or on a microphone from Amazon. And, like a lot of these studio setups, somebody invested $1,000 and they set up a studio. That's basically the gist of it. So things have gotten a lot easier for people to, kind of set up a channel or whatnot. One big thing when you get into, say, more on the podcasting thing, you have an option to go with YouTube or an option to go with Spotify or a whole bunch of other hosts. What I've been finding through my past is that it makes no sense to go to the little companies because what happens is if it's free, they'll eventually charge you money. If it's free, eventually they're going to go to business or you're going to have to pay for it, period. Or they get bought out. So you have kind of those three things. When I first started doing these, I think I was with Anchor. Actually, Anchor was the second one. So I've been through two other hosts. I think they both eventually shut down. I was with Anchor. Anchor got bought by Spotify. And here we are today. Now, if I look at my YouTube numbers compared to my Spotify numbers, they're a whole different story. Obviously, YouTube has better numbers. But when I look at it, I go on YouTube looking for anything, for music, for videos, sometimes for, tutorial podcasts, you name it. Maybe not so much music as I pay for Spotify for that reason, but there's a lot of reasons I go on YouTube. And when it comes to content creation, Spotify suffers from the same problem that it suffers for when it comes to listening to music. It's a convoluted, dirty, messy setup. I often find I can't figure out where things are on Spotify. I can't remember where they put stuff. It's just not, the UI really sucks. And for YouTube, I mean, YouTube's a really big pain in the ass as well. But it's a lot easier as a creator to kind of guide your way around the app to figure out what's going on. So it's a bit different. My recommendation when it comes to creating podcasts, if I was to do it all over again, I would probably skip Spotify. Spotify is a strategic part of it. But I think if you were just looking to come up with a podcast or come up with some content and make it easy and straightforward and reduce your pain in the ass, you just go straight up YouTube, avoid Spotify. Don't get into that mess because I find for what Spotify offers, it's good for a lot of the hosts that they've given contracts to and the big hosts that people want to listen to. But if you're small, I don't think YouTube, Spotify, somewhere where you're going to get recognition or anybody's going to find you. So that's one thing. So here's 5 minutes of what I think about those two for content creation. If you're going to make videos or video podcasts, stay with YouTube or go to YouTube. If you're looking for just podcasts and you don't care about subscribers, you just want to see what happened, you want a straightforward, method and host, you just go with Spotify and you're good. But I recommend YouTube for this. I think in the future, send another video. I think somebody has to buy Spotify eventually and maybe merge into something, merge into YouTube. If you could get some, antitrust, kind of taken care of where they're not coming after you, fix that UI and let's go with it, right? But YouTube's a winner. Anyways, 5 minutes of my thought. Have a great night from Better Assholes.